Hello and welcome to 20 Lore Pro. I'm your announcer today, SirAshtown, and joining with me today is Liam from the Illumiteers. Liam, how's it going?
Thank you so much for having me. Let me commentate this one.
Yeah, just really excited to be here at Game Kastle in Austin, Texas for the Lorcana 1K here in the top 8. Really excited to see these two compete with Aaron piloting a Emerald Steel list and Carmen piloting a Ruby Sapphire. We've seen both of these competitors here today. Carmen, first time on the camera, but she has done so well. We see Ruben there with 5-1. I believe Carmen was at 5-1 as well.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see this matchup here in the top 8. Aaron Rubin is, of course, a player that we know from a competitive team, Labyrinth, as well as he was just doing well before joining that team, but he's done very well in a lot of Lorcana challenges. He's always one of the top players we look at. And Carmen, as you said, played really well all day. And this is a really interesting meta matchup as well. I think right now what we're seeing especially in the North American meta is kind of the deck everybody thinks of as the most dominant is Steel Song, especially after Brandon Candio took the Charlie's tournament in Georgia. And so a lot of people are either going to play Steel Song or they're going to tech against Steel Song. One of the best ways to do that is Ruby Sapphire, a deck that's been great for a while. So this is a deck we expect to see all over the meta, and Aaron bringing in something kind of spicy here, an Emerald Steel deck with some interesting meta calls. He's got Beast Relentless in there, which is a fun way to finish things out. So I'm really excited to see how this deck does in this matchup here. Both the decks getting off to okay starts, I think. We do have the Develop Your Brain there on turn 1. We have a Fishbone Quill getting online early, which is great for Carmen. Carmen really wants to get to that 7 ink threshold so that she can play that Be Prepared when Aaron starts to go wide. Aaron, of course, has set up the Diablo, has it online, and now it's going to be online for another turn, getting Carmen another card. And now he's got the Ursula Deceiver of All as well, able to double sing songs. So fortunately for him, fortunately for Carmen, a lot of the songs that Aaron wants to sing and use Ursula for are removal cards, like Let the Storm Rage On, things like that. So no targets out there right now for Aaron to sing with Ursula Deceiver of All. Carmen just kind of doing her thing with the items there.
And this is an interesting card too here in this Ruby Chronicon, this item 1-drop. You can tap it in order to chosen character gets +1 this turn in its attack. Love to see it here and how it plays out with some of Carmen's characters that really needs to go over the top, even if it just becomes Flavor Sham usage, which we're seeing right here with Flavor Sham allowing her to draw 2. That may come up later on, maybe with a Tamatoa to bring it back to give something more strength in order to challenge into one of Aaron's characters.
I do wonder how the Ruby Chromicon tastes. Flavisham there eating it like he usually does the popsicle to draw Carmen 2 cards. The Chromicon is a great card to point out, though. I think it fills the role that a lot of people are using Vitalosphere for in this meta. One of the big reasons to put it in there, though, is as you suggested, give one of your characters a little extra punch. And the big reason is it's an anti-Queen's Castle card, I think, is the primary reason to play it. Maui, of course, the Queen's Castle is a finisher for a lot of Ruby Amethyst decks, and Maui, unfortunately, is the one answer you have to locations, and Maui can't get over that 7 willpower. So putting this Ruby Chromicon in this deck, not only is it food for Flavisham, it's another item, but it allows Maui to punch out castles in one go. And it doesn't cost an ink, and you don't have to banish it the way you did the Vitalosphere. So yeah, I agree. It's a fun card to see worked into the meta this set.
Yeah, it's just great not being able, like you were saying, to not have to banish the item to increase your character's power. Great usage to stay around as long as you needed to, even if it does end up just being Flavor Sham pseudo popsicle. Something to eat with that Flavor Sham. But here we saw that Aaron was able to play an Ursula Deceiver and was able to get rid of that Be Prepared. It seems Aaron here in this case was prepared for Be Prepared.
He absolutely was. And I bet you he'd been holding on to that Deceiver for quite some time. Aaron playing this match exactly like he wants to. He is cognizant of the number of ink in play. Here we have the Maui coming down and removing Deceiver of All, so we don't see any more shenanigans there. But Aaron, knowing that Carmen is heading to that Be Prepared, has a couple cards in his hand to deal with it. The one is the Deceiver, which is going to pick that at the appropriate time. Aaron waited until the right moment and then got it out. And then you also have Pete here, which prevents playing actions on the turn after he's played. So Aaron timing that again. And here we have another Pete. So this is going to be 2 turns now that Carmen's going to be able to, or not going to be able to play actions, allowing Aaron to push his lore total. And a lot of the removal options that Carmen has available are just not available because of Pete.
Not only that, but it also represents an opportunity for Diablo to give Aaron more resources in his hands, being able to quest out here, knowing that Carmen isn't able to play that Be Prepared. It represents just an ability for him to draw more, and so if he can't find an answer for maybe one of Carmen's Be Prepareds, at least he drew the resources enough to get back into the match afterwards.
No, I mean, that's a great point. All of the answers to Diablo in Carmen's deck, unless I'm mistaken, let me think. Nope, I'm not. All of the answers in Carmen's deck likely are removal actions, and so because of that evasive. So yeah, every turn that Carmen's not able to get rid of it, Aaron's drawing 2 cards for Carmen's 1, and Carmen can't draw into any answers with cards like Flavish Him with a combo, or even cards like Develop Your Brain is drawing a card. So yeah, it's just a tough spot leaving that Diablo in line, and now there are 2 of them.
Something that we have seen some of these Ruby Sapphire players do is to kind of work around this balance of playing against Pete, is start to include some options of Scar in the form of removal. That way, if they can't play an action like Be Prepared, at least they kind of have one of maybe a Scar. That way they can challenge into the board. And that's something that we may see, especially going into DLC Vegas, that some of these Ruby Sapphire players tend to think about is, maybe I should start including this in my list if I know that I may see more Amber Steel or Emerald Steel players.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. Scar is a card that found favor, I think, during set 2 a little bit during set 3, and then kind of faded out from the meta. Here we have Aaron going wide, and so another play here I want to highlight is Aaron taking out that Sisu with Along Came Zeus. It seems like an innocuous card on its face, except it does have evasive, so with a little bit of Vitalosphere, help, it could take out the Diablo. But the bigger thing is it's a shift target for Big Sisu, and one of Carmen's outs here is to play that Big Sisu to banish all of Aaron's characters with strength 2 or less, which is most of Aaron's board. But getting rid of that Sisu prevents that shift. So here, finally, Carmen unleashed and from Pete, able to play some actions, plays, I think, 2 brawls that was, to get rid of both of those Diablos. Carmen's had enough of Aaron drawing extra cards. And Aaron, though, continuing to push his lore total. And now Carmen really needs to find a Be Prepared, showing the Diablo, taking a look there, showing just the Ruby Chromacon. But a Be Prepared to be the perfect answer here. A Sisu would help, but Sisu won't be able to get rid of that Smee, leaving Smee available to quest for 2. So Carmen has outs, but they're not many.
Yeah, we'll have to see really how Carmen is able to come back here. Already staring at 16 lore on Aaron's side of the board. Aaron, like you were saying, Liam, doing a great job of establishing a way to make sure he has protection for his characters. Carmen, in this case, I think sees exactly what we're seeing here and sees that Aaron has able to take the game here in game 1 of the top 8. Congratulations to Aaron for taking game 1, and that was some great piloting. I really like, too, how when Aaron would decide with the Ursula Deceiver what to take, would also then, after making his decision, take a second to pause, to look at his opponent's hand. That way he can commit it to memory, but also then think through his lines. That's something that sometimes I can do where I play too quickly and tend to forget, okay, I took the card, but now what else did I see in my opponent's hand before I let them pick it right back up?
Yeah, no, that's a great point. That's a great point. Aaron here, as you pointed out, he's playing really an aggressive mid-range deck. So one thing I'll mention, so in card games, we have this concept of inevitability. And a lot of players talk about this. There's a lot of articles about this, but what inevitability kind of refers to is if the game goes long, who is going to win this game in this matchup? And against a control deck, or any Ruby deck really, the inevitability is always with the control deck, especially a deck with lucky dimes. And so Aaron playing kind of an aggressive mid-range deck here, he wants to be the aggressive deck pushing the tempo the entire time. And that means that he's going to go wide in the early to mid game as fast as he can, with several Smees, get Diablos online, etc. So Carmen's out. Carmen knows that her out for this game is to get to that be prepared as fast as possible with Fishbone Quills. I'm not sure if she's running the Chichas, but yeah, we'll want to ramp that ink, get to 7 ink as fast as possible for that be prepared. The problem though in this matchup is Aaron has several cards which if he times it right can delay or get rid of that be prepared. The one is Ursula Deceiver, the other is the Pete's, which will delay that for a turn. So it's really interesting sub game that they're playing here, where Carmen needs to get to the position to play Be Prepared, and then, to be honest, ideally draw into it in turns 7, 8, and 9, where Aaron is going to probably alter his hand aggressively into an Ursula Deceiver, probably a Pete, something to delay that Be Prepared, so he's freed up to go wide in the mid game here, or in the early mid game. So yeah, so this is really interesting sub game to watch. So one thing Carmen has to be thinking about, knowing that Deceiver's there, Aaron has played it perfectly now, has timed it right. I do think perhaps you mulligan away from those Be Prepareds, try to get your card draw engine online, leave no target for the Deceiver, and then you have to hope that the TCG luck is in your favor. And so yeah, we see here there is no song. There's Ice Block, Medusa. Yeah, no song to be played, nothing to pick. So Carmen is taking that line and hoping to draw into a Be Prepared on turn 7, I think. Sorry, that was a lot of talking, Leslie.
No, that was great analysis of exactly the game plan that both of these players are trying to commit to on the board. And you're right, really understanding your lines and the way that you need to organize your play. That way you can get to the end game and try to get that win out from under your opponent is incredible to know and to understand. So I think that's some great analysis from your side, Liam, and just really excited to see a player like Aaron here in the top 8, who we've seen time and time again really take his time when he makes his moves. But Carmen, she has also done well in other 1Ks here in the local Central Texas area. And so here we are going into game 2. There's that TPO that you had mentioned earlier, Liam, that she does have that ramp package to try to kind of help her a little bit get ahead on the turns in order to play Be Prepared a little bit earlier than we would normally see.
Yeah, so that's a great point. So Chicha, great card here, especially pairs well with the Fishbone Quill, if that's something Carmen has in her hand, or other cards like How Far I'll Go. If there's a second card that goes in your ink well each turn, she allows you to draw a card. So Aaron, interesting choice here, choosing not to shift the Diablo into play. I think that was available on turn 2. Rather than shifting into play on turn 2, though, choosing to save that action and then shift it on turn 3. That did allow Carmen to draw cards with the Flavisham, I believe, without having to, give Aaron free cards. So interesting choice there. And we do have, I think that's the Brawl. I think I saw Carmen. No, did we Brawl that? We showed a Brawl.
I saw a Brawl.
Yeah, kind of fake out there, I guess. Oh, Pete stopped the Brawl. Okay. Yeah, good point. All right. So, watching too fast. Yeah,
that would have been a great Brawl target.
Right. So, yeah. So, the Pete coming into play, preventing Carmen from playing actions. Carmen had the answer to the Diablo, and yeah, Pete saying, no thanks.
That's something that can be easily forgotten too, and it can really mess up your plays, is that this effect carries into your turn, and you got to remember when you're playing, because it can really throw you off.
Yeah, there's been a lot of conversation about Pete, and all these conversations about when to announce your triggers and all that, and you kind of pointed out that there are not very many cards in the game right now. In fact, the chat's going to remind me, but I'm struggling to think of many which say during your opponent's turn, X, Y, or Z. It imposes some sort of effect on them. Pete, I think, is the only one that I can think of, or at least the only one that's seen like real competitive play. So it's an effect that carries over. I guess there are some that say, can't quest during your opponent's next turn, or can't exert during your opponent's next turn, but that's not like a game state as Pete is. Anyway.
It can even be hard to remember, especially with like locations that have abilities like Library. We're seeing that played more often in the Ruby Amethyst list, that when a character's banished while there, you get to draw a card. You got to remember when something's banished on your opponent's turn, you're still going to get to draw. And just remembering those triggers, like Diablo, for instance, in Emerald Steel here, that when your opponent draws, no matter what it may be, to draw on their turn.
That's true. In chat, pointing out some other cards. I mean, big Kita lowering all of your opponent's cards' power on their turn. I think that is another good example. The other one is Tiana, although Tiana I think is a little different because her card is in play and it says your opponent cannot do this, but she's on the board applying that effect. Although I guess Pete is too, but it's only for a turn. So good suggestions there from the chat. And then we have the Fishbone Quill coming in here. Definitely a card that Karma wants to get online. Would love to have a Chicha in play with it, but that's okay at this point. Oh, there it is. So now that engine will be online, and Aaron getting another card off that Beast. It is probably, if you're going to have one character in play other than the Diablo, the Beast is probably a good one. But looking for answers here, this is because of the ink disparity here and the point of the game that we're at, Carmen is definitely looking to turn the corner here and take control of this game. Beast Relentless, though, coming in. So talk about Beast Relentless. You've all seen Aaron play earlier today, and I've missed some of his games, but I did see one round, and we saw this Beast Relentless come in. Some of you may remember this from Rise of the Floodborn, when there was a popular deck that ran Beast and allowed it, because when you pair it with cards in Steel, it allows you to quest for quite a bit per turn. Beasting, of course, when one of your opponent's characters is damaged, you can ready him. So using cards that deal direct damage or even challenging, you can get 4, 6, 8, sometimes 10 willpower or lore out of him in a given turn. So this is a card that Aaron's going to use as a finisher, and we'll see if he has some cards to pair it with, because it's definitely something he could use to push his lore total here, if he so chooses.
Yeah, this is an interesting place to be in right here for Carmen and Aaron. Really, we see Aaron's having the ability to draw each turn off of that Beast. Carmen here with one card in hand, no Flavor Sham on the board to cause recursion for card draw. Really going to need to find a way for Carmen in these upcoming turns to try to find a way to either answer Aaron's Beast or try to find recursion and card draw to find more available cards for her to play.
And here we see the Beast in action with Beast singing Let the Storm Rage On to ready Beast after he's quested, and now he's available again to quest or do some sort of other shenanigans. Another interesting note here, Carmen has a lot of removal in the deck, but there are a few cards that are not available without an ice block in play. Of course, Mana Medusa is one of the more popular removal options at 6 ink, but Beast with his 4 willpower makes that not an option. Same with Brawl there. Beast just too strong, and Brawl won't apply. So really need to find here a Be Prepared is the big one to do some targeted removal on that Beast. I think that's one of the only things. I mean, there's Lady Tremaine and others, but in this scenario here, it's really the Be Prepared that you're looking for, unless she runs Maleficent, which would also be an answer here.
And we see How Far I'll Go, a card that kind of helps her dig just a little bit, as well as increasing her ink in her inkwell. We'll see if she can't find something in the immediate time to try to answer some of these cards. Aaron creeping up pretty quickly here at 10.
Yeah, and that's the thing, we look at Lucky Dime decks. One of the things we talk about with Lucky Dime decks, because of their instant lore gain ability and these Ruby Sapphire decks with all their high lore characters, they can close out games very quickly and go from 5 and 10 to 20 lore in one turn. Well, Aaron, with that Beast Relentless on the board, it can threaten to do the same thing. And even without the Beast Relentless, he's sitting here with 7 lore on the board right now. So threatening to get really close to closing out this game. With 1 or 2 damage actions, in fact, he could close it out right now with that Beast Relentless.
Yeah, this was some really just great gameplay to see, and the power of Beast Relentless, like you're saying, Liam, that we're seeing right here. That Beast Tragic Hero really giving Aaron a lot of resources in card draw. Aaron now challenging in with the Ursula Deceiver.
Yeah, squeaking on extra lore here. So Ursula Deceiver could have quest on her own, but rather than quest for 1 lore, Aaron's going to challenge in the Chicha to ready the Beast, and then quest again to get 2 lore out of Ursula, basically, instead of 1.
Yeah, I think a great play, putting Aaron up to 18 to Carmen 6.
And one damage action here, although I assume if Aaron had it, we'd see it already if he had game, but we're 2 away from winning here. And again, we'll mention Be Prepared is the great reset button, and Aaron doesn't have, unless I'm missing something, any instant lore ability like a goat. It just doesn't exist in these colors. So if Carmen can play a Be Prepared, take control of the board, then yeah, we do. I just because I saw it in Carmen's hand, I mentioned Maleficent earlier. Carmen does have a Maleficent hand. Probably would have loved to have that and play that last turn, but yeah, so that is available. But we really need to get a Be Prepared here. Really need to play Be Prepared here.
Count out 4. Going for another how far I'll go.
Yeah, and Carmen's
hoping to dig.
Carmen's counting ink here to see if there's 7 left over. If the we're looking. Nope.
There's a Sisu.
Unfortunately, Sisu is not gonna do it. Yep, nope. Just needed to Be Prepared. So interesting. I have to go back and look. I don't think Aaron ever picked a Be Prepared. I think Carmen was doing. Oh, look, where is the Be Prepared? There's a scar. That's helpful. Yeah, I think Carmen was doing exactly what I suggested at the start of the game, leaving that Be Prepared out of her hand and hoping to draw into it at the right time. I think that honestly is the right line. We did see Aaron with the Ursula Deceiver in hand in the early game. I think on turn 2, Aaron played Deceiver. And Aaron played Deceiver on turn 2 because he looked at her hand on turn 1, said there's no Be Prepared, there's no reason to save this right now, played the Ursula to go wide a little bit. So had Carmen had the Be Prepared in hand on the opening, Aaron would have saved that Deceiver until turn 6, or whenever Carmen had 6 ink available, play it and got rid of that Be Prepared anyway. So Carmen, I think, was doing exactly what I think the right line here is, keeping the Chichas, keeping card draw, getting the ramp going, trying to leverage strong card draw in the mid game in order to, or the late early game, mid game, in order to ramp into that Be Prepared, draw into the Be Prepared, have it available, but just never found it. And so I think that's the right plan, just unlucky.
Yeah, especially when Aaron had such a wide board, Be Prep right there. He had a lot of cards in hand, but still, that would have been a great reset button like Be Prepared tends to be. And that was our game there with, in the top 8, Aaron, aka Lorcana Bro, versus Carmen here at Game Kastle's Lorcana 1K in Austin, Texas. We want to thank y'all so much for joining us here on 20 Lore Pro in today's stream. If you missed any of today's rounds or the game and you'd like to go back and watch it, head on over to 20 Lore Pro's YouTube. Later on this week, we will have all of those tournament rounds for you to watch. And Liam, again, thank you so much for joining us here today. It's been a great pleasure to have you here, co-casting with us and just joining with us.
Thank you and 20 Lore Pro for everything that you all do for the Lorcana community. I really appreciate how much you support, players, how much you enjoy bringing, local content to the community. And so thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure and an honor. And thanks again.
Well, thank you all so much over there at home watching on Twitch. We will be here in a little bit with top 4, so stay tuned.